Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today I am going to be doing my soft glam makeup that I do whenever we just go like out to eat or just not like a big party or anything like that. I don't do my makeup on an everyday basis like for work and stuff, but this is a really easy makeup look that if you are wanting to look a little more put together for work. I am going to be doing this as a talk through because I am going to be also telling you guys about the time that I told my boyfriend and my parents that I was pregnant. So if you want to hear the story, just keep on watching. Alright guys, so I'm going to take my Too Faced Hangover Primer and I'm just going to take about 2 pumps of that all over my face. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with my eyebrows, and I'm gonna take my little angled brush and of course my black gel eyeliner that I love to use for my eyebrows. And I'm gonna start off by lining the bottom of my eyebrow. Okay. And sorry, I would start talking right now, but doing my eyebrows and talking is like, I don't know why. It's super hard to do that. So I found out I was pregnant when I was 19 years old. It was the spring semester of my second year in college, and I had been with my boyfriend for about a year and like 2 months. If you haven't seen my video on my pregnancy story, I will link it down below. Definitely go watch that so you can, so you can hear about how my experience was. I didn't really get much symptoms or anything. Whenever I found out, this was after spring break, and whenever you're in school and you get a break from school, you just kind of feel tired and you don't feel like getting up for school, or like you don't have much energy. And so that's what I was feeling, and I had just thought it was my mood because we were going back to school. But I was just much more emotional and just real, like I felt really weird. Like I kept having like weird thoughts, like that nobody liked to hang out with me and stuff like that. Like it was just real crazy. I ended up testing because I had a feeling that something was up and I wasn't feeling like my normal self. So I took a pregnancy test. Actually, I took 3 pregnancy tests all at once. And whenever they all came out positive, I was in shock. Like, I was shocked and scared and nervous because, I am Hispanic, I'm Mexican, and you know how those things go. Like, while you still live under the roof of your parents, basically go by all their rules. So it doesn't matter how old you are, like you still have to ask to go out and all of that. It's just like, they're very strict. So I was real scared because, like, how was I gonna tell them? And I didn't know what to think at the moment. I was like surely they won't kick me out because I'm their daughter. But at the same time, like my mom had always like talked like around the family and stuff, like around my aunts, like, oh, like si ellas me salen embarazadas, like se van a salir de la casa and all this stuff, ni crean que les voy a ayudar. And so I was just like, well, there I go, like I've done messed up, so like I'm gonna get kicked out or whatever. But yeah, like whenever I found out, I was with my friend, and which is my boyfriend's cousin, and so she was like, well, you gotta go tell him. And so I went over to his work, and at the time we were having some problems, and I told him that we needed to talk, and he's like, what is it now? And I was just like, no, like it's something serious. And he's like he was busy where he worked at, and he was like, no, I'm not gonna go out there, like what is it? And I was like, it's something serious. And he's like, what did you hear now? And I was like, no, it's not that, it's something else. And I didn't want to like text him about it. I wanted to actually like tell him and show him the test. But he ended up like kind of getting an idea. And so I like was getting frustrated, and I just snapped him a picture of the test, and I looked at him like right through the window, and his face was just like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like he was just like, he didn't like believe it. And then he got done with the customer that he was helping, and he came outside, and he was like asking me if I was being serious, and I was like, yeah. And then I like got real emotional, but at the same time I was like laughing, because I'm just like that. Bad I'm very bad at laughing whenever I'm nervous. And so he thought I was pranking him, and I was like, I'm not. And then he told me to go to a clinic so I could get like an actual note saying that I was pregnant. So I was like, okay. And then I went back to school because I still had another class left, and I told my other friend, and she agreed to go to the clinic with me. So once we left class, we went straight to the clinic, and I was just so scared, and we were just laughing. That's honestly just our personality. Like we're pretty much the same when it comes to stuff like that. Like if we're getting in trouble or something, we're just like, oh my god, we start laughing. We're gonna be in so much trouble, and we just start cracking up. Cause like, I don't know, that's just us. So we're just there laughing, and I was like, man, like it's not funny. Like it really isn't funny. And yeah, like we waited for them to call me back there to take my test, and as we're like walking into the clinic, like I told my friend, I was like, if there's anybody in there that I know, like any family or anyone that happens to know like my mom, you're gonna go in there and take your test, and not me. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure. And I was like, because I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm here to bring my friend to take her test, so like word won't get out to my parents. And nobody was there, thank god. So I just went in, and I went to the back, and then I got a urine sample for the lady, and we went to the little lab area where she began the pregnancy test. And by the way, the foundation I'm going to be using is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This is in the shade Golden Beige. So we're waiting on the results to come up, and then they pop up, and she's like, oh yeah, like it's very positive, like you are pregnant. And I was just like, oh my god, like it is just a weird feeling. Like I wasn't like upset, but I was just like, crap, like what the heck. Like I mean, we know like the consequences to our actions, but it was just something that I like didn't think would happen, because I mean it didn't happen for like a whole year. So it just, I don't know. I had even told my sister one time, I was like, I don't think I'm like able to get pregnant. And the funny thing is that I already was pregnant whenever I told her. But yeah, like I didn't expect it to happen. And so whenever she gave me the note and stuff, she even had me pick out like a little hat for my baby. And of course I didn't know the gender, so I just picked out like a random pink one, and I just like bunched it up, and I put it in my pocket. whenever I came out, I just looked at my friend like smiling, and she knew, like she already knew that it was positive, because I mean I was there like cheesing, and that's just how I am. And so we get to the car, and I'm just like, what am I gonna tell my parents? And it was just like, I didn't start like really thinking about that too much, because I didn't want to like worry about it or be all like nervous acting around them. So I just kind of went on about my day, and I took my boyfriend the little note, and I had him keep it, obviously, because I didn't want my mom to happen to find it in my car. And so he kept the note, and he actually told his parents that same day, and his sister. And you know, he's a guy. um, he didn't really like get in trouble. I mean, he didn't get in trouble at all. His parents were actually excited, and they were all happy, and so he was like, you know, you should tell your parents too, like my parents are actually like happy for me. And I was just like, dude, like I cannot tell my parents, like it's not the same, you know, like no, they're not gonna be jumping a joy and being like, oh my god, yes, like you're pregnant. Like no, it's not. Like I'm 19 years old, like it's not gonna be the same energy from them. So we actually waited. I wanted to wait till I was about 12 weeks. So I found out when I was 6 weeks. So I wanted to wait till I was about 12 weeks, because I heard that that's just like the safe zone whenever you're pregnant, just to make sure that you like are carrying the baby good. And then also I had already decided that I wanted to just get my associate's degree and just like pause on college for a little bit if I didn't know exactly what it was that I wanted to do. So I had already switched my major at the beginning of the year, and not knowing that I was pregnant, but that was just something that I decided that was better for me. So I had already applied for graduation and everything, and I wanted to also wait to tell my parents till, you know, I graduated and all of that, because I didn't want them to not go to my graduation. Like that would have made me so sad. I waited about 2 weeks past my graduation, so I was already about 14 weeks at this point. And the good thing was that my pregnancy wasn't that bad. I'm gonna be using the Too Faced Peach Perfect powder. And so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so my pregnancy wasn't that bad. Like I wouldn't like get sick. Well, I never actually like got sick. Like I never had thrown up or anything like that. I would just be nauseous and lightheaded for the most part. And so my mom never suspected anything, because she never heard me like throwing up or anything like that. So I was able to hide it for about 8 weeks after I found out. And by the way, for this look, I just like to only use foundation and powder my face. I don't like to conceal or do too much. I just like to be lighter with my makeup. And my parents had already met my boyfriend. I was with him, like I said, for a year prior to getting pregnant, and they already knew who he was. He would go over all the time and just spend time with me and my sisters and my brother. And so he came over one day, and that was the day that we decided we were gonna finally tell them. And so he came over, and we were in the kitchen, and I had my sisters there just because I wanted, you know, extra eyes and ears there, because I get nervous and I didn't want like to just be overwhelmed with things that my parents were gonna be telling us, and I wanted to have the support from my sisters and my brother there. So we were all in the kitchen, and as we were like getting ready to say, my sisters just kind of like backed away and just waited till, you know, we said it, so it wouldn't be obvious that we were all waiting for something to happen. And then I start laughing as usual. Like, I don't know, like, I don't want to go do it. And my parents were in the living room watching TV. And I was just like, I don't want to go. Like, I was scared and I was just laughing. And my boyfriend's like, let's just go. And so we would stand up and then I would sit back down. Sorry, for my contour, guys, I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild contour palette. And so, yeah, I just kept telling him, like, I don't want to, like, tell them. And then finally I was just like, you know what, like, let's go, like, right now. And so we just stood up and we started walking towards the living room where they were at watching TV. And we just stood there in the, like, doorway of the that separated the kitchen from the living room, well, the dining area from the living room. And I just looked at my mom and she looked up at us because, like, I guess she thought like he was leaving or something. And she just looked up at us and I just looked at her like real serious. And I'm like, I have something to tell you guys. Like, I said it in Spanish. I was like, I have something to tell you guys. And my mom just looked at me and she had this look like don't even like finish your sentence, you know? And I just started like crying so hard. And my mom's like, what? Like, you know, like, what is it? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And my dad just stayed staring at the TV. And I knew my dad wasn't gonna be the one to start like going off. Surprisingly, like, my dad is pretty calm. He's not the type to like start causing a scene or anything like that. So I knew, like, I had even told my boyfriend, like, you don't even have to worry about my dad. It's like my mom that's like, if there's gonna be someone going off, it's gonna be her. And so, yeah, like, my mom was just like quiet and she looked over at my dad and she's like what, like, asking him like what are his thoughts and stuff. And he was just all quiet and he's like, well, I don't know what to think. And they were just like real quiet and I was just there crying. And so my mom was just giving us like a lecture about how you're supposed to start from bottom up. Obviously, like, within our culture, it's like, you know, you get married, then you have kids and all that. And plus I was in school, and so my mom was like, if I was going to continue with school. And I mean, it was already something that I had decided. And so I told her that was like, you know, like, I don't even know what I want to do career-wise. So that's why I had like decided to just get my associates. And so she was just there, like, they were just asking us like all these questions about how we're gonna like do life. And I was just there like crying. And they were also saying that they were gonna want to speak to his parents. And so we were also like arranging that for his parents to be able to speak to my parents. I guess they just didn't want to say much in front of my boyfriend. So once he left, my mom was like asking me when did I find out. And so I told her, and she was like, why didn't I say anything? And I had told her, like, I just kept crying, y'all. Like, I was like bawling my eyes out, and I was like, I didn't want y'all to like miss my graduation. And so that's when she kind of started like feeling bad. And she was like, I wasn't like gonna do that to you. Like, I wouldn't have like missed your graduation and all of that. But it's just something that you shouldn't play with. But it's just something that's like very serious. And we had, and she's like, and we had always talked about this. Like, it's something that you guys know, that she had always told us, like, you know, to be careful. And by the way, on my lid, I'm just going in with the this other shade in the Wet n Wild palette. But yeah, she was just telling us about how she had always told us, and she doesn't know if she just didn't make herself clear or if it was just awkward for us to talk about. And you know, I notice in like a lot of Hispanic homes, like it's something that gets addressed, but it's not something that gets discussed much because it's just, I guess, an awkward topic. Talking about like, you know, taking care of yourself and not getting pregnant early. Like it's just something that parents like more like warn us about and not so much educate us, I would say. It's like more like they try to scare us. I mean, either way, like you should know what you are doing, and obviously, like, you know, cause and effect, like the stuff you do is gonna have a consequence. And so that's also like by my part, like I don't by any means blame it on my parents or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, that's what my mom was talking about to me. And so I just told her that, like, I understood what I did and that I was gonna basically, like, have to step up to be a mom now. And, you know, I took full responsibility of it. And so she asked me if I had been to see a doctor yet, and I told her no. Like, y'all, like, I seriously thought, like, all of this stuff, like, I seriously thought that, you know, like, doctor's visits and all of that were, like, we're gonna tell your parents, you know, like, that's why I didn't. If I go to one, like, my parents are gonna find out, like, through, like, a bill or something, I don't know, like, that's why I didn't go, because I just really wanted to wait off on it. The next day, I scheduled my first prenatal visit, and that was the first time that I got to hear my baby's heartbeat. And I actually went by myself to the appointment. It was just basically to get like the blood pregnancy test, and so I didn't know like they were gonna be able to get my baby's heartbeat. The doctor actually just volunteered to do it. She said that she had a Doppler with her and that if I wanted to try to hear the heartbeat. So I was like, yeah. And so I texted my mom that I got to hear the heartbeat, and she replied like, "Lo más bonito que has escuchado en todo el mundo, ¿verdad?" And I just started crying like in the car, and I was like, yeah, like, cause like for sure, guys, like, oh my god, that looks so crazy, like for sure, like, oh my god, guys, like I'm getting emotional. I'm sorry, like when it comes to this topic and everything, like I am like super sensitive to it. I don't know why. Like, I mean, I do know why. It's obviously because it's my son and stuff, and like just the situation and the stuff that, you know, I went through. It's just a real sensitive topic for me. But yeah, like it was very, like, I don't know how to describe the feeling. Like whenever I heard it, it just felt so good. And I, like, since that moment, I was just like, okay, like I gotta go get my prenatals. I cannot like mess this up. Like I have to take care of myself. I have to like be healthy to have a healthy baby. And you know, everything just was like revolving around my baby since that very moment. And now I'm just gonna take my bronzer and I'm gonna use that just in the crease. So this look, like I said, it's just like a soft glam, and I don't really go in with much colors or anything like that. Just really, I just always just put my bronzer in my crease just to give it a little more definition and color in there. But this is basically all I do. Anyway, yeah, like it was super emotional, and then from there my mom just started like getting closer to me. Me and her were like always talking about anything, and I would just be able to sit down and just talk to her, and like little by little it just, like, you know, things change, and um things change, and you're not really around the same people that you used to be. And so really, like, my mom became like my only friend. I was just always there talking to her, and my sisters, of course. And so I'm just really glad that things went the way they did. They weren't very hard on me or anything like that. My parents were very understanding, and they tried their best to hold off on their feelings. And I know for a fact that they felt guilty, and, you know, just the stuff that any parent would feel, like wondering like where did they go wrong and stuff. But at the end, like, they would put off those feelings and just make sure that they were there for me and helping me out. And, you know, I mean, I had my boyfriend also, like, he never left me or anything like that. But I'm just glad, like, we had that support too from both ends. Like, his parents were real great too. Like, they were real supportive, and, you know, that's why we were able to just carry on with things pretty smoothly. My mom would go with me to my appointments, and she was just always like making sure that I was eating good, and that, you know, I got my rest. And then especially once I started going through like my complications, which again I mentioned in my pregnancy story video. And so yeah, especially whenever I started going through that, she was like always making sure that I wasn't putting like extra stress on my body, or that I was like healthy and eating right and stuff like that. And so I just really appreciated all of that. You know, I know that other people go through different situations, and it's not always like, it's not always a good outcome to whenever they do tell their parents. So I'm just really thankful that that's how my parents were with me. And I feel like parents just, that's like the best thing you can do, is just support their child whenever they go through something like this. Like whenever they find out they're pregnant, and yes, like, of course you didn't want that for them at, you know, their age or whatever, but I mean, what can you do, you know? So once I got my bronzer like pretty smoked out in there, I just take my finger, and I like to use just a shimmer, like champagne color. This is Moon Dust from the Huda Beauty palette, from their first Rose Gold Edition textured shadow palette. So I'm just gonna take that with my finger, and I'm just gonna apply it right in the middle. And I don't want it to be really like intense. I just want to fill in that gap right there that looks like I don't have nothing. Just like at least that glitter's gonna do something for that right there. But yeah, that's basically how I told, you know, how I announced my pregnancy to them. And I'm just gonna take this NYX lip pencil. It's in the shade Mauve, and I'm just gonna line my lips. And this color is basically my lip shade already. Then I'm gonna take this Revlon lipstick. It is in the shade, I don't know if it's gonna focus. It's in the shade 14. It's called Shameless. So I'm gonna take that. And in case you guys haven't realized, like, these little mauve tones are like my favorite lipsticks. I know it's gonna get old and boring to see me wear like the same tone of lipstick, but I just feel like it's what works best for me, and I feel like it goes good with anything I wear. So there is that. And I'm actually gonna top it with a little bit of gloss. I've been trying to get into the like glossy kind of trend lately. The gloss I'm using is just the clear Mega Slick gloss by Wet n Wild. I don't know, I feel like I'm just super used to matte lipstick, and I don't know how I feel about the gloss. But let's just finish up lashes and it'll pull the whole look together. But yeah, guys, like the way things went for me made everything so much easier, because I don't know what I would have done if my parents would have not supported me through this, especially with the stuff that I went through in my pregnancy. Like I would be so lost. Like, it was tough as it was, but not too tough, because my mom was always there, and she was really like good at being there for me, you know, being like real good emotional support to me. And the mascara I'm going to be using is the Essence Lash Princess. I was very nervous because, again, like everybody says, it's real hard on, and I mean, anybody's situation could be the same, but you know, it's just known that, you know, Hispanic families don't take that lightly, and it's something that's really frowned upon and always gossiped about, like, oh, like whose child is pregnant and stuff. And so, you know, I know those things came with, you know, me being pregnant, and so, and I didn't want to put that like on my parents. Like, I didn't want other families to talk about like my parents, like, oh my god, like their daughter got pregnant, you know, because I live in a small town, and most of the people here in my town are from the same place in Mexico that my parents are from, and so everyone knows each other, and I didn't want that for them. But in the end, I was just like, you know what, like, whatever. Like, all they're gonna do is talk. They're not gonna, like, buy, like, diapers as far as I know, you know? So, whatever. We didn't really pay much mind to that. We didn't really, like, pay much mind. Like, my mom, too, she was like, if anyone's gonna be saying anything, like, just ignore it, and you do what's best for like you and your boyfriend. And so yeah, that's just kind of how we took things. And I wasn't like hiding my pregnancy per se. Like, I would post like my baby moving and everything, but I just didn't want to like really, you know, like put it out there, because it's not something that like, I don't want to say like I wasn't proud of, because that just sounds real harsh, but it wasn't something that I wanted to be like showing off, because, you know, like, I know that my parents were like disappointed and stuff, so it was just something that like I wanted to respect like my parents as much as I could. So I wasn't gonna be like putting it out there like if I'm like super proud of what happened. But I mean, things happen, and I wasn't gonna be like mad or anything either. So I just, took my things day by day. Yeah, eventually, like, obviously everyone found out. And now, like, my parents, like, adore Mateo. Like, they love him so much. And actually today, he started taking, like, his first official steps, and we were all excited up, and it just makes me so happy to see that they are, like, real happy with him and everything. And it's just, it changes your life completely. And whenever one of my friends told me that they were pregnant too, and that they were worried about telling their parents, like, obviously it's not something I want to like encourage or anything, but I mean, things happen. And so I was just like, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it so much. Like, they are your parents. Like, they love you. They're gonna be upset, yes, and everything, but like, you're their daughter, and they're just gonna be able to accept it, like, at a certain point. And so, yeah, like, I know it's different for everybody, but I'm just so thankful that things went like they did for me. And now I know that I can count on them, like, for anything with him. And yeah, like, although I was so scared to tell them, and I was so sad, like, to get their reaction, like, I just didn't want them to be upset. Like, that was the thing. It's not like I was like, oh my god, like, they're gonna kick me out, or like, I don't want them to scream at me. It was just like, I didn't want to see them disappointed, like, I don't know. That was the only reason that I was so scared to tell them. I was just like, I'm not ready to see, like, I'm not ready to see that look of disappointment in them, you know. But things went good, and it's just real amazing that some things could really, like, just give you an at the moment, like, reaction. Like, mine was just like, man, like what, like, these 2 lines are coming up on this test, like, oh my gosh. And it's just a whole bunch of mixed emotions at first, but then, like, later on, like, now I'm just like, no, like, I don't know, like, what I would be doing without my son. Like, like, stuff would be so boring, and he's just so funny, and, like, so, like, happy all the time. And I don't know what I would be without him. I'm just so glad that this did happen. And even though, like, I do consider ourselves young, for having a baby at the age that we did, I'm glad it did happen the way it did. And if it would have been a different time or anything, it would have been a completely different child. And I obviously would love them because they're my child, but I'm just so glad that I have Mateo, like, him specifically. This is basically the look. Just real simple, but a little put together. So just a quick rundown on my face, since I was doing a lot of talking. Basically, it was just foundation and bronzer, setting powder, of course, but bronzer, and then in the crease, it's just all bronzer. So that Wet n Wild palette, that's what did all of this stuff in the crease. And then I just topped it off with, like, a shimmer shade, and then I've got my favorite lipstick shade on my lips, and then some gloss on it. So yeah, like, a good makeup look for, like, going out to dinner and stuff like that, and just not being like it doesn't look like it's too, like, full glam, but you're not, like, barefaced, But yeah, that was my story on how I told my parents, and just a quick little get ready with me, even though I'm not getting ready for anything. This is the look. Let me know what you guys think and what kind of videos you want to see, and if you are interested in anything else. I do want to talk about my labor and delivery because that is quite the story also. Being surprised with a premature baby, and just my whole experience. I have really been enjoying filming for you guys. I hope to keep this up and be able to be more consistent on my channel. Right now I'm just uploading once a week, but I am gonna want to start uploading more often, just whatever my personal life and work allows. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I just wanted to switch it up as opposed to the pregnancy story one where I'm just there sitting down, staring at the camera and talking. Let me know which one you guys prefer though. If you guys would rather me like be doing something else like getting ready, or just like only talking and focusing on you know, what I'm wanting to talk about. If you guys would, just don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave me a little comment with what you thought about this video. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.